Hey, it's been a while since I've been on camera. I did a few TEW videos, which I know I promised to last week, but work, school got in the way. I also am facially naked, which I'm not happy with, but work calls. So, I'm doing the superhero tag that I found from Bookbear. I can't remember where she got it from, but I'm sure I'll put a link thing in the comment box below somewhere. So, first question. A book you think is worthy, one that didn't get as much credit as you think it deserved, aka Thor. I don't have a copy of this book anymore, which I'm sad. It's called Whitechapel Gods. I picked it up a long time ago. I was probably still a teenager. It's a Victorian era steampunk adventure / horror psychological book. It's really good. It's about, again, Victorian era London with like spiritual elements and steampunk and all the things I love very much. I wish I had a copy of it to show you, but it was mass market like 10 years ago, so you could probably pick it up for pretty cheap if you find it. It's called Whitechapel Gods. Book 2, Captain America, your favorite historical fiction. Sherlock Holmes. Now you may all say, oh, that's not historical fiction, but the thing is, I could go historical fiction and be like every steampunk book ever, because it's all historical fiction. But I want it to be a little bit more reality-based, so we'll go with Sherlock Holmes. It is fiction based in a historical setting, so that makes it historical fiction. And I mean, come on, who doesn't love Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's and Sherlock Holmes? Like, it's an institution in literature. How can you not love Sherlock Holmes? Number 3, I don't have a copy of this book. I've already railed against it once, and I'll rail against it again, and anytime I get to, because this is the worst freaking book series ever made. And this is The Hulk, a book that made you angry. I'm sorry, but when your protagonist is a tiny little whiny kid and every other person around him is the same way, The Maze Runner kind of makes me angry because it's one of the worst pieces of trash ever written, and yet for some reason people love it, and they made another one, and they're making more movies, and I don't understand it. Why do people love this? If you love this, I'm sorry, but please, read something actually good. I mean, Maze Runner is worse than Twilight, and The Host, the other Stephanie Meyer book, which is Twilight with aliens combined. That's how bad Maze Runner is. It makes me angry. Moving on. Iron Man, the favorite book that takes place in the future. I have talked about this in a previous tag, but I'll talk about it again because Ready Player One by Ernest Cline is set in the future, yet lives so much in the past at the same time. This is glorious. I really want to read Armada because I've heard a lot of bad things, but I want to try and see if there's anything good in it. And I really hope that if he writes the third book, it's going to actually get back to how this one was, because this is really, really good, and I'm really looking forward to see how well they do with the movie. I know I shouldn't get my hopes up with book movies, but you never know. Number 5, Loki, a book you were tricked into thinking was good, but actually wasn't. Now you guys saw, by the way, I need to do my bookcase number 3 soon because I did get a new one and I haven't done my unboxing yet. But you saw last month, I was kind of excited about this one because it was written by Gillian Anderson. I had a chance to read A Vision of Fire. It's not a terrible book. It has a really good premise and there's some interesting things, but I think overall it's just kind of bland. And really there's not enough compelling things to call it a good book, and so it was kind of disappointment. Number 6, Batman. A book where the character's parents are still alive. Cheated a bit, because this character is real, and this will go... First time I'll talk about my obsession with autobiographies of musicians and wrestlers, because for those of you that don't know, they have very similar lives. And this is Mustaine. It's an autobiography of Dave Mustaine, the lead guitar player and singer for Megadeth. It's a very interesting book through his life, and the bitterness he went through when he was kicked out of Metallica, and then like how he used that to fuel his obsession with making himself, a success through his own work, and then his parents happen to be alive in it, and they are part of the story. So, Mustaine by Dave Mustaine. Check it out if you like autobiographies. The Winter Soldier, number 7. A book you read but can't remember anything about. Stephen King's The Gunslinger, part of the Dark Tower series. I've heard so many good things about Dark Tower. I read this. I don't remember anything about it. I really need to reread it because I'd like to read the whole thing. I only have the first one. But right now I remember absolutely this much about this book. Except for the fact it's called The Gunslinger. And it's by Stephen King. That's all I remember. Number 8. Not 8. Anyway. Fantastic Four. A book series that you like that has at least 4 books in it. I actually have the whole series. I really need to get them all together in the same one, but Percy Jackson. I know, a grown man of 29 years old reading Percy Jackson, but it actually is a very good story. I love Greek mythology, and I think that Rick Riordan has done a lot of good stuff with it. I've read bits and pieces of the Kane Chronicles and the continuation series of this. I can't think of the name of it right now, and then also he has a Norse one that I'm interested in checking out. But anything that gets young adults interested in mythology is awesome in my opinion, and this also has the addition of being really well written. Don't let the movies fool you. The books are actually really well done, and I highly recommend them. Last but not least, number 9. That's a Beatles reference. The Joker. A book that made you laugh out loud. Last time I talked about this book in connection with another book that I read by Tom Holt called The Outsourcer's Apprentice. But this is what started British satire novels. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Who, in their right mind, has read this and not laughed out loud? I mean, come on. There are so many... My producer, the Bookbear, is shrugging her shoulders because she actually hasn't read this yet. I'm planning to change that soon. Anyway, there's just so many great things about this. 42, Zorgon poetry, just so many. There's I can't say much because she's in the room and I'll spoil it. There are so many great things about this book. You've got to check it out if you haven't read it. Douglas Adams is a perfectionist. He probably wrote like 20 drafts per book that's involved in this series before he was good. And he was doing the same thing with the movie script before he died. And that's why a lot of people don't like the movie. I think the movie is actually very good homage. I mean, come on. It was great. Just accept it. It wasn't as good as it could have been, but it was still great.
You shouldn't give spoilers, not for my sake, but for other people who probably haven't read it either, you know.
It's hard not to, though, because this book is so good.
Spoilers are terrible, terrible things.
And what's great about this book is 42. If you've read it, you know what it means, and you're laughing right now. If you haven't read it, you're like, what the heck does 42 mean? What does it mean? Read the book and find out. Anyway, that's all for the superhero book tag. I will also be having the Game of Thrones tag that Bookbear did up eventually. It'll be probably over there in the suggested video somewhere. Or over there, I don't know. It's somewhere. You'll see it in my channel. Anyway, have a good one, guys.